Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope that you're doing really well in this moment in time, and that wherever you happen to be in this past Earth Day and New Moon Day that we've had, or wherever and whenever you are when you're listening to this recorded message, that you are able to call upon your angels, that you are able to remember that the angels are here to help you and make your life better and easier and to serve you. And the way you do this is you just ask whatever version of God you follow to help you by sending angels. So you don't have to say God if that's uncomfortable. You could say Yahweh or Jah or Allah or the universe or divine mother, heavenly father, divine creator, prime creator. You get the picture. Okay, so pick the word that makes you feel the most comfortable. And you ask that version of prime creator to please send angels. Now, why would you do that, and what would you possibly need angels' help for? Well, I'm going to give you a list, okay? They can help you with various things. Archangel Gabriel can give you insights. Archangel Uriel can give you inspiration. Archangel Raphael can give you healing. And Archangel Michael, he will give you protection. Also, he can sever your ties between you and other people, cutting those cords of energy that might just drag you down emotionally. He's very important. He also has a cloak of invisibility like Harry Potter, and he can shield you from other people that are of much lower vibration from actually even seeing you. So it's pretty interesting. If you just imagine like a cobalt blue cloak draped over you and ask him to make sure it's activated and you're protected. I mean, if you're walking in a dangerous area, have them do that. People won't see you. It's really trippy. They'll hear you and they'll look around and they'll just be like, what? I don't see anyone, right? It's really cool. I've done that, but maybe not to that extent, maybe not using Archangel Michael, but I've put a shield around me that no one could see me. And I've seen people freak out and they heard me walking and they couldn't see me. You put enough energy into it, it will happen. It's pretty cool. It's been a lot of years though since I've done that, but it's super fun. But the angels can help you in a wide variety of ways. I had angels help me move my car up a hill to get to a gas station when I ran out of gas once. I asked God to help me, and I just was desperate because I was in a really bad area and several miles from home. And it's like between my home and this gas station, a lot of gang activity. We were hearing gunshots even when I pulled my car up. Lots of gunshots, and just drifted, like barely drifted up to, I barely got to but these guys jumped out of a car, black car, bunch of white guys, very, very white, like their skin was almost like the whiteness of paper, and they all had the same outfit on. And when I look back on it, I kind of can't really remember what they were wearing, but they looked like quadruplets, and they all had the same exact expression on their face and very pale blue eyes. They looked Russian and very handsome, and they were all tall and skinny, and they just, out of nowhere, they came out of a black car, and the black car took off, and they grabbed my car, and they moved my car over to the gas pump, and I said thank you to them. I got out of the car, and I said thank you, and I was going to give them some money, kind of as a tip for helping me, and I looked in my purse, looked back, and I saw them all, they were all synchronized, and they they all ran around this car. Like two went on one side, the other two ran around the other side, and they all got into the car And it was like so synchronized, and they never stopped looking forward. They didn't look into my eyes. They didn't smile. They didn't acknowledge me or my presence at all. They just got back in the car. Again, a really nice black car. Like, I don't know. I don't even know what kind of car it was. Honestly, it kind of looked something between a Mercedes-Benz and almost a Rolls Royce, but it wasn't quite a Rolls Royce. It was something similar. It was really weird looking. It was nothing that I recognized, and it was just black and shiny and looked like really kind of sleek. But then these guys were all wearing, I think they had white shirt, like white sweaters on. And I don't know if they have blue jeans or white pants. It's like, or even black pants. Like, I can't even remember that. And that's the kind of thing, when you see angels, you're supposed to forget, you know, or you remember bits and pieces, but you don't remember the whole thing. And I don't remember what they're wearing, but I remember just how handsome they all were with their blonde hair and their blue eyes, and their skin was so pale, like paper. They didn't look real. They almost looked ghostly, but they were solid like you or I. You could see them like they were just people, and they helped me, and then they left, and they didn't look or acknowledge. Like, what the hell is that? Like the Russian mafia is going around helping people get gas? I don't think so. So for me, I knew that they were angels. They were really angels. And that's one of those weird things that just, I don't know. It's things that I talked about this last year. You've heard the story if you've listened to every episode and you've listened to me from the beginning. But you can ask them for help, for any kind of help. You know, ask for help of, you need money to eat right now. I've had money appear a couple times right in front of me. I have no money. I'm so hungry and I really need it. And I'll look down and there's some money on the ground. Like, you know, I've told my kids, just ask God for money. God will provide if I can't. And I told my youngest this, and one time in Mexico, he said, so, I need this many pesos. I'm like, I don't have it. I only have enough to buy groceries and then go home with the taxi. That's all I've got. But you know what? Why don't you ask God? God will provide for you. God will always provide for you. And I was looking in this general direction on the ground, and there was nothing on the ground and no one near us at all. And he said, okay, fine. I will ask God. And he's like kind of mad at me. And he put all that power into his prayer. He bowed his head, put his hand together, asked God, and then all of a sudden he turned around, and I'm sure an angel dropped this money, and he had like 100 pesos or something, and he's like, which is like roughly at that time is around $12, and he's like, oh my God, this wasn't here a minute ago. I go, I know, I noticed that too. It appeared out of nowhere. I go, you better spend it quick, it might disappear. And he was happy the rest of the day. He's like, I can't believe it. And he went around buying all sorts of cool things. And it was just, I said, look, God's always going to provide for you. Don't worry about it. So I kind of raised my kids to call upon the angels and ask God for things. And angels will always do God's bidding. They can do nothing else, right? So you can ask them for protection if you're stuck in a situation where you need to get out of. Whether you've been into like a car accident or something emergency like, or if you are in a domestic violence situation, you can ask God to surround you with angels. You just have to murmur under your breath or just say it in your mind. So the other person that's getting a little bit crazy and violent with you, and then just imagine Archangel Michael standing near you, putting a shield over you and pushing their energy away. Just ask the angels to push their energy away from you. And it's really freaky. The person will like leave the room. They won't be able to be around you. You know, and I've used this one several times, and I've been around like belligerent drunk people or angry people. You know, when I was going through a couple breakups, I had to use this one, you know, and it does work. It really, really works. So, you know, protection if you're in like a foreign land and you feel like maybe people are looking at you and not with good intentions. If you're walking down the street and it's a little bit late and or if you're with a taxi driver and you don't feel safe, like maybe he might be a little shady. Those kinds of situations, it happens more often than you suspect it would, no matter where you are in the world. And this is one of the best things. You just ask the angels to surround you, ask God, ask the angels, come and surround me, protect me right now, put a shield over me so that nobody will harm me. No harm will come to me. No weapon shall prosper against me. It says in the Bible. It's one of my favorite lines, and it's true. Just ask the angels to help and make sure that is so. Now, other things, though, you can ask your romance angels to bring you love. You can tell them that you don't feel loved, you don't have love in your life. If you're feeling really lonely during this isolation, ask the angels to come and bring you extra love, and just so you do feel loved by, God and the universe and Mother Earth, Gaia, and the angels, and especially your holy guardian angel loves you very much. They were assigned to you from the moment you were first conceived in God's mind. And I don't mean just in this life, but in every lifetime, no matter what world you've lived on, your holy guardian angel is literally assigned to your soul. So this is like your constant companion every second since you were first created by God. And you will always have this companion with you forever, and this companion loves you. This person or this angel has given you so much love you don't even understand how much, and they're constantly with you like your best friend, and they'll always be there for you. So you could just ask them, hey, holy guardian angel, and you can make up a name or ask them what's your name and just see what name comes to you. Or you could just make, you could just call them something or say a word that will mean that you're calling upon them. And especially if you're around people who are non-believers and people who are freaked out by spiritual stuff, just say, I don't know, cotton or, candy or I don't know what, but just whatever word, and you could tell your angel, this is a word that means you, and when I need your help, I'm going to say this word out loud, right? So maybe the word is just good grief, goodness gracious, whatever. Just make up a word. I'm doing terrible at the words right now, so just ignore that. But you just say whatever your word is, and just say silver, whatever. Maybe you'll see the silvery angel wing come near you, and you're going to feel protected and safe and loved. But they can help you bring love to you. They can help you bring friendship to you. You can ask your career angels to bring the perfect situation for the career you already have or a new career you're trying to get into. You can ask them, in fact, I just realized I can ask them to bring me listeners to my shows. So this is how you do it. I'll do it right here on the air. God, please send angels that will help me to gather up followers on Instagram that would be very interested in hearing my show. And please bring me more and more listeners so that I could get the word out and also make a living doing what I love. It has been said, do what you love and the money will follow. And I kind of need the money to follow really quickly so I can continue with the show. So please send me more and more listeners. Thank you so much. Amen. There you go. That's kind of a heartfelt prayer about one of my current needs in my career. So that's something. Let's see. If you feel lonely in this isolation and you don't want to feel alone, you ask your holy guardian angel to come. You could ask to be surrounded by angels, and you're going to start feeling buoyed and lifted up by their presence. And then you're going to understand, I'm not alone. I am loved. I am okay. And they will start taking any negativity away from you. You can ask them, please take the negativity away from me. And they will do it. So, you could ask about the archangels, your guardian angel, or just angels in general. And if you want to work with angels further, you can go download an app called Angel Numbers. The one that I use is purple and pink, but there's others, pick the one you like, and they'll have a little bit slightly different description. Doreen Virtue started this with a book called Angel Numbers, and she talked about numbers 0 through 999. And it's an incredible book. And even though she doesn't believe anything she's said for the first half of her freaking life, or more than half of her life, I don't know how long she'll live, but, you know, she didn't believe in anything she said suddenly out of nowhere, and I thought that was very weird. But her angel stuff has been really, really popular and really interesting, and I found most of it, if not all of it, to be completely true. And her angel numbers, I used to carry that book with me everywhere, and I wish I had it with me now because I miss it. But anytime I see numbers repeated, the angels are talking to you. They talk to you through messages, through songs, through numbers, through cloud messages. If you look up and see a bunny rabbit in the sky, and then a couple days later you look up and there's another bunny rabbit cloud, and you're like, what is going on here? And then another bunny rabbit cloud, then you got to start paying attention. And then you have to look up, what does rabbit mean spiritually? Maybe that means that I need to sit and observe silently, because rabbit is a very silent creature. And they only speak up, they scream bloody murder if they're being hurt. Other than that, they're very, very stealthy, silent creatures. They're also filled with peace and love. They're just amazing. And so maybe, you know, if you see bunny rabbit in the sky, maybe it's a signal. My son today, he looked up and he actually saw a rabbit cloud. I saw one the other day. He also saw a duck cloud. He's like, oh my gosh, look at that duck. You know, and it's weird. It's like the clouds will formulate. If you know that you're going to start looking at the clouds and you tell, hey, God, send me messages in the clouds, you know, or allow my guardian angel or other angels to send me messages in the clouds, those messages will come. It's weird. I mean, I've been deep in thought and looked up and saw a pentagram in the clouds, like literally wispy clouds making the shape of a pentagram. And other times I've seen an infinity symbol or a heart. And when I wasn't thinking about anything in particular and I wasn't looking for any messages at all, I saw a heart over this specific house. And then I saw like a lightning strike down the center of the heart, and I saw the two parts of the heart float away from each other. And I knew that person was going through a breakup. And a couple days later, I saw the exact same symbol in the clouds above the exact same house. And I felt their energy of being very hurt and heartbroken. Literally, they were saying the words, I am heartbroken. And that appeared above their house. And it manifested because this person was going through such a rough breakup. So I just started beaming love over at that person, just lots and lots of love. In fact, I think on my Instagram feed, if not my Facebook feed, I actually did put a picture of this cloud that was kind of breaking up. It was crazy. It was like a perfect heart with like a lightning bolt in the middle of it. It was very strange. But just ask and call upon every moment you can for anything and everything. Ask the guardian angels, your other, archangels, all the angels. Just ask them to come and be with you. Invite them into your life, and you're going to see a big difference. You'll see a difference in your attitude and in your sleep at night. Ask your guardian angel to take away any negative energy so that you have nice dreams, and ask them to protect you at night so that you don't have anyone invading your space in your dreams. That does happen a lot, more than you think, especially if you're not protected. So just ask your guardian angels. They will make sure everything feels peaceful, loving. You can ask them to literally clear the air, get all the energy out of your house that is negative or stagnant, and they will bring in inspired ideas and fresh energy, and they will help to renew your soul, and they will help to refresh your mind, and they will help to give new hope to matters of the heart. And they will also bring in new energies as far as helping you along financially or with your career. Just ask the manifesting angels. There's angels for everything. Even if you have acne and you want to have better skin, ask angels to bring you energy of beautiful skin and help them to have them help you to believe in yourself and feel good about yourself regardless of your skin. Because sometimes it's just a self-esteem thing that will bring up the acne. It's not always diet, although sometimes it is. If you just clean your face with plain water, and certain soaps will irritate your skin. And if you're a teenager and you're going through skin stuff, I'm sorry, I was there. My kids both suffered through acne. I had really bad acne though when I was a kid. I still have acne every now and again, and I'm 51 and it never stopped. It's not terrible like it used to be, Every now and again I'll get 1 or 2 pimples and I'm like, what the hell? I gave that up when I was a teenager, damn it. But sometimes, it's emotional stuff that will create the physical stuff because you didn't face it. If you're not facing something, you'll get acne. Get it? Face. It does. That is sometimes what it is. You have to literally face something. So ask your angels to help you with that. And you have to love yourself and have confidence. And all of that comes from inside. Happiness is an inside job, as they say. Mike Dooley did say that. I think someone else said that before him, but it's absolutely true. So ask your angels to help you create more happiness in your life and create the inspiration that will create art and music, and just be yourself. Be genuine and true. Be true to you. And then you can be you to full. So I put some new artwork up on my Instagram this past few days. I have another one I'm getting ready to maybe put up tonight. By tomorrow there should be an extra one up there. So at Mermaid Girl 888 is my Instagram feed, and there you have it. So I'm going to get into, there's on spaceweather.com, I'm looking at this little clip of a Lyrid meteor exploding. Somebody actually got this on camera. I can't believe it. It's like really cool looking. It's like, what? And it looks like it looked like one meteor going through another one, and the other one just turns into powder or dust. So it's pretty intense. So, all right, before I get further into it, happy Earth Day, happy new moon. This is the time to start new things. The energy of this moon will last 2 more weeks until we hit the full moon. So go ahead and spend the next 3 or 4 days thinking about what you want brand new in your life. You could let go of all the old and just focus on the new that you want. So you feel like you want to run and jump and play in the grass again, since we're all isolated. For me, day 37. Just imagine what the grass will feel like under your feet, nice and cool, and how soft and green, and the smell of it if you step too hard, that scent of fresh grass that's been kind of cut or severed. And imagine maybe the dirt getting on your toes a little bit. Maybe it's soft and cold and a little bit moist. And just imagine that, like it feels so good to think about that. And maybe the shade of a tree and the dappled light that makes you feel a little bit sleepy and a little bit in a dreamlike twilight state. I love that, especially when you're like driving through places all trees, like the forest. That dappled light, it puts you in a transcendent state sometimes. And I think about stuff like this a lot. I've been thinking about going to Park Paradise, which is this just incredibly huge park here that's absolutely beautiful, and feeding the ducks and the swans and just looking at how beautiful they are and watching for fish in the river. Just hanging out, maybe smoking some weed or eating a brownie or something, and just watching the whole world. That place is magical and transformative, so I love it. So I've been thinking about going out in nature a lot lately. I've just been really missing just feeling the wind on my cheeks and blowing my hair around, and the sunlight on my face and giving me angel kisses, they call them, or sun kisses. Some people call them freckles. But I miss it. I miss all of that. I haven't left my house in 37 days, guys. I'm 38 days, actually. And it's taking its toll on me a little bit. Although overall I'm happy. I've been sleeping really well. I've been having fun with my son, and he's not having a good time at all. You know, like I said before, the extroverts, they're not okay with this. The introverts, we can handle it a little better. And so, be there for your extroverts for sure. All right, spaceweather.com. So this Lyrid meteor shower, it just, today was the last day of it, although maybe tomorrow might be a few in the sky. Solar wind speed is 412.6 kilometers per second. And we are still without a sunspot. 18 days in a row with no sunspot. Therefore, no Earth-facing CMEs. This thermosphere climate index is remaining cold, of course. The Ulu neutron counts have gone up again. In the past 48 hours, there's been a 0.2% change. So we are at a very high level of radiation yet again at 10.1% of the space age average right now. And that's coming out of Finland, out of the Oulu laboratories. And there's some really super annoying pictures of Starlink. It looks like there's a big plaid in the sky. It's super annoying. I don't know. SpaceX launched 360 Starlink satellites, and now there's 12,000 are planned. More than 12,000 of these satellites are planned, and so they're unwelcomed images in the night sky, basically, and people are getting annoyed by it. If you want to look at the entire photo gallery devoted to them, you could go to spaceweather.com, and on this page today they said they've got a link to go check out all of the ones they've been gathering. And they say the chief science writer at Brain and Behavior Research Foundation says that what's going on with this reminds him of basically Star Trek. I don't know if you guys are nerds like me, but the Tholian web of the original Star Trek series, it's this cross-hatched pattern that looks like the Starlink satellites coming to life. They have a picture of it here of the NCC 1701 caught in the Tholian web. But they're saying we're not the Enterprise caught in. It says only problem is it's not the Enterprise that's caught in Elon's web. It's the Tholian's web. They're calling it Elon, like Elon Musk's web. It's like, what is he doing to us? He's killing us with these stupid things. But I guess supposedly it'll be good, and people that are poor, everyone will be able to get free internet. Seriously, if he charges us for this, man, I mean, give me a rocket ship and a BB gun, man. I'll have fun with that. All right. No significant coronal holes on the Earth side of the sun, so no solar wind coming our way. That's good, because earlier today I felt a lot of energy from the last one, and I think that we're going to be good for 3 or 4 days without that, without that extra solar wind coming our way. So normally we only have a few fireballs to report, but today on the 444 portal, 69 fireballs. 69 fireballs in the All-Sky Fireball Network and NASA's All-Sky cameras. They literally caught 69 fireballs in the air above the United States only. Can you imagine what the whole Earth had? But 36 of them were Lyrids, meteors, and 33 of them were sporadic. We had like 33, master number 33 on April 22nd, which is 22, another master number. We had 33 sporadic fireballs today. Isn't that crazy? 69 in total. That is And they all look like they're coming from basically the same place. It's very trippy. You look at this picture here. All right, disclosurenews.it pretty much only had 15 to report on as far as the Schumann Resonance is concerned. And, excuse me, yeah, I mean, that's not much. Hertz frequency, 15, that's it. Crazy stuff. Now, that's not very high, but it's higher than 4 places on Earth. And let me tell you what they are. Since yesterday, 3 places on Earth. No, actually. Wow. Yeah, since yesterday, 4 places on Earth. Oh my God. And right now, 5 places on Earth are at 0 on the Schumann Resonance scale. So crazy, right? California, Hafuf, Saudi Arabia, Northland, New Zealand, and Honolulu, South Africa, are all starting at 0 and ending at 0. And they've all been there since the 20th of April at 1500 hours. All 4 places have just been zeroed out since then. That's really trippy. In Lithuania, they start off at 120 hertz frequency at midnight. And by 4 a.m., they were down to 116 hertz frequency. And Alberta, Canada start off at 29 hertz frequency at midnight. And they too went down to 0 by 4 a.m. So that's really trippy. So there's only one number to be seen in the Schumann Resonance at 4 a.m. and that was in Lithuania at 116 hertz frequency. Everyone else was 0. Your guess is as good as mine as far as that's concerned. I have no idea what that means. All right, in A Course in Miracles, we are on lesson 280. You may find this at acim.org, which is the website for the Foundation of Inner Peace, or you could just go look on your Play Store for an app if you did want to reread this later or start your own set of A Course in Miracles lessons. They're always free. So here we go. Lesson 280. What limits can I lay upon God's Son? What limits can I lay upon God's Son? Whom God created limitless is free. I can invent imprisonment for him, but only in illusions, not in truth. No thought of God has left its Father's mind. No thought of God is limited at all. Thought of God but is forever pure. I'm sorry. No thought of God. No thought of God is but is forever pure. Basically, thoughts of God are pure forever. Is written kind of oddly. Sorry, Jesus. You wrote that one a little strangely. No thought of God but is forever pure. Can I lay limits on the Son of God whose Father willed that he be limitless and like himself in freedom and in love? Right, obviously not, right? We can't put limits on the Son of God, and that means you. In this book, he described this, the word Son, S-O-N, with capital S. That means all of God's creations. That means you and me. Not just Jesus, but all of us, every single one of us. You can't put limits on us. Because God, our Father, willed that we are limitless. And we are like God in freedom and in love. So let's continue with the lesson. It says, Today let me give honor to your Son, for thus alone I find the way to you. Father, I lay no limits on the Son you love and you created limitless. The honor that I give to him is yours, and what is yours belongs to me as well. What limits can I lay upon God's Son? That's again lesson 280 in case you want to look it up later. And that's our lesson for today. So, according to astrologyking.com, he says that basically the word for the new moon today, tragedy. Now, we've been going through some crazy astrology the past month or so, and it all kind of shows the coronavirus pandemic. And so what he has to say on astrologyking.com, he says, the Taurus new moon on April 22nd, 2020 brings sudden and unexpected change because it is joined by Uranus. New moon April 2020 is a challenging square aspect to Saturn, so the changes could be difficult to deal with and may cause suffering and sorrow. I wish it could be better news, guys, but basically it says the new moon is in the sign of Taurus, but in the sky it's in the horns of the ram in the constellation of Aries. So, because of the progression and whatnot. But what is a constellation of Aries? You guys, aggressive, impulsive influence. It's important to be responsible, patient, cautious, and sensible during this time. Now, I was married to an Aries for 13 years, and if you know anything at all about astrology, you're probably going, oh, God bless you. I know. Oh my gosh. But she's a saint, I hear some of you say. Every time the new moon or the full moon was in Aries, every time in 13 years, he always hit his head and he was always bleeding from his head for 13 whole years. Anytime that happened, he always got head injuries every stinking time. Aries is a headstrong. It rules the head. It rules the head. And if you are an Aries, you know what I'm talking about. You're probably laughing right now. I have a friend who's an Aries, and he was cleaning his ears out with a Q-tip, and the cell phone rang, and he ran to get it, and he left the Q-tip in his ear, and he was he put on speaker, and he's talking to the person, and when he hung up, he opened up his closet door, which was kind of like an accordion style closet door, and it punctured his eardrum by shoving the Q-tip farther into his ear. He forgot it was there. Probably dollars to donuts, the full moon was in Aries, or the new moon was in Aries. I mean, every time, Aries have a hard time with hurting their head, all different parts of their head. It's so strange. Like from getting a bloody nose to like smacking yourself with a cupboard, And if you're an Aries, you're probably laughing really hard and shaking your head going, oh my God, that's totally true. Anyway, so what else does it say? Basically, they're saying the best way to avoid tragedy from the coronavirus pandemic is just to protect yourself and your loved ones and avoid taking risks at this time. Especially because astrology is really bad right now, I'm telling you. Usually, what does a new moon represent? It's the end of a cycle and beginning of a brand new cycle that will be 28 days long. And when the sun is conjunct the moon, it gives this invigorating burst of energy and initiative. It's an excellent time to make a fresh start, turn over a new leaf, or start a new project. You can question old habits, behaviors, and beliefs as you search for new and inventive ways to make progress. Okay, so this is what every month, I think I read this last month too, but that's what new moon represents, brand new things to start. But and actually, if you want to start things that have to do with thinking and, the head, where's the brain, but, in the head. So Aries rules the head, and new moon in Aries, maybe it is time to start learning a new language or taking a class if you're able to. If you're still having problems with what's going on with the pandemic, don't worry about it. Just calm yourself, relax, do what you can to get through every single day. Surviving is key. Surviving is number one right now. If you're able to get out of all the coronavirus talk and all that, then you can come back to your own center and then start something new. For me, I did. I mean, the past week, I finally was able to do some more language lessons. I started aerobicizing again. I started several things, actually. I started, reading books. Stuff that I had put off for like a month because of this has been crazy. My son and I, we'll watch TV for a while, and then we'll have hours where we just look outside. We're staring outside at what all the people are doing. Yesterday was freaky because my son said that he looked outside and everybody was wearing a mask and everybody was wearing white. Every single person on the street wearing white. It was freaky. He's like, what the hell? He's like, it's kind of calming to see everyone wearing white, but then also very freaky. You'd think we live next to a hospital, but we don't. We live between two hospitals, but not that close to one. And he was saying that is odd because it's almost like, everyone coordinated it and they didn't seem to know each other. But I was like, maybe because we have to spray ourselves down with bleach water when we come back in from outside and they don't want to bleach their clothes. Might be something as odd as that. And then when I looked out, everyone was wearing pastel colors. Pale pink, pale orange, pale blue, pale yellow. It was very weird. It was like Easter eggs on the street. It was very strange. But usually when I look out, especially after 2 o'clock, no one else is on the street. No one is out there at all. And all I'm seeing is dogs. They're just taking over. The dogs are having a field day. They love having the streets to roam by themselves. They're really happy, I think. All right, so let's see. I'm going to skip ahead to just what he has to say. I'm looking at this, and it's the chart for New York City at this time for the new moon, the event chart. It's all of the aspects are to the left of the chart, and there's nothing to the right of the chart except for one of the nodes. I don't even understand totally what that means, but all of the signs, they're all to the left of the chart. It's so strange. The astrology king is Jamie Partridge. I am reading from his website. I'm not going to read all the aspects. I'm just going to read the summary because he has always excuse me. I will say, though, that the new moon, April 2020, is conjunct with the asteroid called 18 Melpomene. Melpomene, maybe it is, named after the muse of tragedy in Greek mythology. And a tragedy is defined as a very sad event or situation, especially one involving death or suffering. And the new moon is in conjunct with, literally with an asteroid that's named for tragedy. Totally trippy, right? Very, very weird. Okay, so the summary for today's new moon. It is conjunct Uranus that brings sudden changes, and it is square to Saturn, which makes these changes serious and unpleasant. Uranus also makes you want to be free to do your own thing when and where you please. Yeah, I mean, seriously, I would love to go to the park right now, take off my shoes, walk through the grass, and then sit at the end of that dock with my feet in the river while feeding the ducks. That's what I want to do. I'm not hard to please, man. It's the things that make me happy are super, super easy, simple, and usually free. But okay, but the square to Saturn imposes restrictions which can lead to impatience and frustration. Now, the fixed stars in the horns of the ram have an impulsive, aggressive influence. Uranus now increases this risk of acting impulsively and of shocking consequences if you do. Probably like being arrested, right? Saturn would make any consequences all the more difficult to deal with. Guys, stay at home, stay inside. Don't get on Skype just in case. Especially not with your boss, something might happen. Just, Now it says new moon April 2020 is very challenging, and the asteroid Melpomene will bring tragedy for some because of the coronavirus pandemic. With this new moon on Uranus and the horns of the ram square Saturn, it is important to be patient and careful. So avoid taking risks, but also be flexible enough to adapt to changing conditions. Now, the new moon will last 4 weeks up until the new moon of May 22nd. So, basically, it says, and when he says a moon, he means like the cycle of the moon. Now, let's see. Yeah, and he has other information. So if you want to check it out, it's astrologyking.com / and then there's a dash between all these things, new moon, April 2020-2. So you can just look up Astrology King, new moon maybe. All right, guys, I'm going to take a quick break. As you can tell, I'm suffering from allergies today. I did spray my whole house with bleach. Now I have too much moisture in my air. I don't know what to do. There's so very little oxygen at 8,400 feet above sea level as it is that I don't want to just burn candles everywhere to get rid of the moisture, because it also might get rid of the air. So I've been just kind of sitting here stuck a little bit. Don't want to open the window, because you just never know if the virus is outside lurking around. My son won't allow it. He's too scared, and I'm like, okay, I don't want him to be afraid, so we only open the window when I order food, so maybe I need to order more food. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick break, and when I come back, we're going to talk about folk magic today. It's witchcraft, but when you practice it on your own and not in a coven or whatever, if you just do it on your own, just because you need some things taken care of magically, that's why it's called folk magic. So what our topic is tonight for folk magic is, how can you feel more calm and rational, more peaceful? And we're going to go over some spells that will bring you peace, including a way that you can stop people that are really bugging you. We're going to talk about how do we get them to stop. You know, if someone is bullying you or hurting you in any way, shape, or form, we're going to go over that tonight, right after this message. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you, and it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated, and now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. All right, guys, so in the first part of the show tonight, I talked about angels and how you can have them help you by removing negativity, banishing your anxiety, just taking that, lifting it up, and bringing you a sense of calm, peace, and love. That is sometimes considered angel magic. Or you just don't have to call it magic at all, especially if you're a Christian and that upsets you. Everything I'm going to tell you tonight you can use, and you don't have to call it magic. It can be considered to be focusing tools to help you feel better. We are going through a really rough time in the world, and it's imperative that we remain calm and rational and reasonable, and that we can manage our emotions and our darker moods, and that includes anxiety and negativity and fears. And so if you want to look up spells, you can do that, but I'm going to tell you things that will help. Whether you want to call it magic or not, that's up to you. For me, I'm a hereditary witch, man. It's in my DNA. And I only recently, in the past year, have I recognized it. Have I finally said, oh my God, I didn't realize that this comes from my ancestors. And it finally just dawned on me about a year ago. And I'm like, oh my God. I remember hearing that going, oh, I'm so jealous. I wish I was a hereditary witch. And I started looking into it, all these articles and stuff. And it's like, turns out, oh yeah, well, I've been that my whole life, even though my mom, my immediate family didn't practice it. They were Christians. And then even my grandparents, they didn't because they were Christians. But possibly before that, possibly going back maybe 4 generations. I'm Irish, I'm Cherokee, a lot of magic in my heritage. So I just accept it, because I accept that it is absolutely a natural state. It's just a natural part of me. And same with Jesus, with Brother Yeshua. He was also a magician. He was a master magician. He walked on water. He transformed water into wine in a few seconds. He created loaves and fishes out of nothing. He was a natural hereditary witch. He used a wand. If you go back to the very early teachings and writings about him, there's always mentions of a wand. And who but wizards carry a wand? Moses himself had a staff that's like a very big wand. Solomon himself of the Bible, King Solomon, he was a magician. He controlled demons and angels alike. Now, I don't recommend that, ever. Don't try to control forces that you don't understand. And you could study angels your whole life and still not fully understand the power and force of that. So I don't recommend trying to control anybody or anything. But I am going to talk about how you can control your own emotions and your own moods and your own environment, without controlling another being. So all the magic I talk about is white magic. None of it is black magic. You might beg to differ with one of the spells I'm going to talk to you about, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's one way you can have peace in your life. And so we're going to go, if you want to go to spellsofmagic.com, they have hundreds of spells, and it's just people who read it add their own spells. So take it always with a grain of salt. If something seems a little weird or there's no way in hell you're going to do it, just don't. You can read these, get ideas for yourself, and create your own magic. I recommend just creating your own magic. You can stitch, like cross stitch on fabric. That's a form of magic. You can do art, can be a form of magic. Painting can be a form of magic. It just is all depending upon your intent. But what we're going to talk about tonight is considerably simpler than all that. So we're not going to get into heavy duty, things that are going to take you weeks. I'm going to tell you things that maybe only take 5 to 10 minutes and will completely clear your air. All right. So what it says here on spellsofmagic.com is this. Peace spells are not generally the type of spells which bring peace on earth, but they do create a more peaceful situation. Generally, a peace spell will create an aura of peace around you. All spirits moving near and through will be at peace with themselves and others around them. As time goes on, this peaceful feeling will spread. So how far it spreads and how long the effects last, of course, is based on the strength of the caster, that's you, but more so on the level of the peace of the caster. So once the caster becomes upset or angry, then that will break the spell. You have to redo it, and that's okay if you have to. Because, we all are, we're humans, so just got to forgive yourself and redo it. So they have literally lists and lists and lists of different peace spells. We're going to come back to that in a moment. But what are the ways in which your peace is upended or unnerved? Sometimes it's just your neighbors bothering you, or sometimes it's your specific people in your life that just will not freaking stop. If you've ever had a stalker, if you've ever had anybody scare you or bully you or anything like that, that's like super, super negative, and you're like, oh my God, it's like all you did was like you existed, and for whatever reason you attracted their unwanted attention. Or if it's somebody at your work or a rival or somebody who just will never freaking go away, and you can't have peace of mind until this person is literally no longer in your life, and you thought long and hard of, how do I get this person out of my life? Well, I'm going to tell you how right now. There's in a song that is sung by oh my God. In fact, I'm going to look it up. I'm going to see if I can find it. Hold on. Have you guys ever heard that line? Sorcerer, come on over. Let me put you on ice. Now, if you didn't really understand magic and you didn't know what that was about, well, apparently my best friend from Peru got a brand new phone number and had to tell me on WhatsApp by sending me a whole bunch of messages in a row. And I was like, oh my God. Sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, so have you ever thought about that? If you don't know what Put Me on Ice is, and you heard this song, and you're like, it's all mystical and magical, but you don't kind of get that part, you might be thinking maybe I'll put you on ice, meaning I'll pour you whiskey over ice, or, what does that mean, right? But if you're in the know and you're a magical folk like I am, I'm going to tell you what it means. I've had to do this for some people that just would not leave me the hell alone. And I had somebody who called me every freaking day to complain about her life. And I loved her dearly, but I was just like, oh my God, enough already. It was creating problems because I didn't have time for my kids. I didn't have time for my husband. It was creating a strain between the relationships of me and my family, taking time away from calling my other family. She would want to call and talk about her problems that from day to day never changed. It was every freaking day. And it was like for, 6 months or something. And it was exhausting. I am an infinitely patient person, and I love everybody. And this person, I still to this day, I love her very dearly. But it was like I just had enough. Her stuff was negative, and it affected my business. It affected me. I lost a lot of money because of her. because of her negativity and her attitude. And I was just like, enough already. I'm going to put her on ice. And I put her on ice. And she stopped calling me. In fact, I've talked to her now in 10 years like twice. And there were only like 5 or 10 minute conversations. And even after I put her on ice, even after the ice melted and was thrown away and the spell was over, she still, like, we just don't, it's like that, whatever was keeping her bound to me to complain constantly, I broke it. I broke it with this one. Now I'm going to read you not exactly what I did, but this one might be even a little bit better. And I found this on houseofintuitionla.com if you want to go read it for yourself. But I'm going to read this to you. This is pretty intense, man. If somebody is robbing you of your peace because they won't freaking leave you alone. Now, this is not for someone who is like your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your wife or one of your kids, and you're just like, enough already, blah, I can't, Calgon, take me away moment. This is not a spell for that, okay? Don't ever put someone you want back in your life in a week or a few days or a month or something. Don't ever do this kind of a spell. Don't put someone on ice that you're going to have to deal with later, like your boss, because you might end up getting fired, So, but this is for the people in the world who are stalking you, people who are costing you time and money and causing problems in your family, people who are superfluous to your life, people that you just, they're evil, they're bad, they're negative, they're like nothing that you want in your life. And they keep bugging you, and I don't mean like Jehovah Witnesses at your door. Don't put the Jehovah Witnesses on ice. Don't do, I don't mean like that. I mean when people are maybe getting too dangerously close, they keep calling and showing up, and you feel threatened and you feel like maybe something might happen. They might kidnap you or like something major like that, or someone who's a bully. And they're, if you're in grade school and you're hearing me, this one is going to help to get rid of your bullies. This will stop them from even touching you. If you are, in junior high or high school and you've got someone who is constantly trying to hit you, hurt you, and you just can't get rid of them and they still are around, put them on ice, baby. This is ice, baby. So it's those kinds of situations. So if that's what's robbing you of your peace, and now that we're all home in isolation, it's not as bad. But what if you have a roommate and you're stuck in isolation and the roommate is an abuser and you're just like, oh my God, I need to get rid of this person? You got to be really careful with this one, especially if it's a roommate, and you don't want them to be a roommate anymore. This one's a little bit scary. You don't want them to find out because it will freak them out, and, you got to be careful with this. But this is what it says. Is someone gossiping about you and ruining your life? Are you haunted by a jilted ex who just won't stop harassing you? Like, especially if it's like a narcissist. What if you're being sued or taken to court unfairly and you don't deserve that? Sometimes you need to freeze somebody in their tracks when they are attacking you, and nothing works better than a classic freezer spell. These spells have been practiced by hoodoo conjurers for centuries. They're still widely used today for one simple reason: they do work. This is a powerful one. Okay, so they say this is this container spell it's like you contain the person so that they don't harm you anymore. And it works to freeze somebody's speech or their actions against you. So a gossiping mean girl can be hushed, or an overzealous admirer who you have absolutely no connection with at all, and you don't want anything to do with them, and you're getting this unwanted sexual blah against you, and they just won't leave you alone. You could put them on ice. Freezer spells are used to silence someone and to freeze them out of your life. And what they say here, obviously, don't try this spell on someone you're trying to reconcile with, because they will literally be iced out. And this is like a forever spell, like goodbye forever. So you only use this spell against people who are harming you, so that they'll be frozen out of your world for good. This spell is serious self-defense magic, and like most spells, you should never take this lightly. Okay, so it says that you have to choose your container. You can just use like a simple glass jar to freeze. Honestly, what I've used, you could do something special, and that's cool, but I have just used, like making ice in an ice cube tray. I'll just use it like it would be like one section, one little ice cube. I've put it in an ice cube tray to freeze the spell, and then I'll put it in a plastic baggie after it's frozen, and I'll just shove it like in the back corner part of my freezer and just leave it there. And then that's it. And then I'll use the freezer tray, and I'll kind of cleanse it magically and run it under water and ask that it be cleansed from any energy of the spell, and then just use it as a normal ice cube tray. I mean, for me, that always worked. So it's like super simple, and you can do that. But you can use a glass jar, they're saying here. I'm not going to read this whole article or this whole paragraph here, but they say, look, now if you want to find if you want a more potent effect, okay, so if you're trying to freeze somebody out who is making unwanted sexual advances, like if you have a Harvey Weinstein in your life, if you have someone like that in your life and you can't avoid this person because it's at your work or something, you want to freeze them out sexually, like an unwanted admirer or an obsessive stalker, what you need to do is get a container that resembles genitalia. So a pickle, a phallic shape, like a pickle, cucumber, a zucchini, anything that represents, so when you make the spell, you like cut a slit in that vegetable or fruit, and you put that in there, and then you wrap it up and you freeze the whole thing, and then that whole thing becomes the spell. So you could just do it in ice, but if you really need to get rid of someone like that, and maybe stop their unwanted sexual advances towards others as well as you, that one might work better. And you have to expressly say what you want to be the result of you doing the spell, and you gotta say it out loud. So anything representing genitalia that's just like, they're being super ridiculous, you have to do a ridiculous spell to counteract their negative energy. Now, this is a funny one. I like this. To stop a gossiping backbiter, you might opt to choose a cow tongue. I thought that was hilarious. That would be really freaky if someone found that in your freezer, like a cow tongue with someone's name like shoved in the middle of it and frozen. Really creepy stuff. Anyway, so you have to prepare your totem. So whatever the totem of your target is, if you have a photograph of the person, that is the best choice. If you have a strand of their hair, that is really, really good, because this is sympathetic magic. But if you don't have that, don't worry. You could always print up a copy of their likeness from Facebook or something. If you can't do that, just write their name. If you have their business card, that will work. Or write their name on a little card or a little tiny strip of paper. Or you can even draw an image of their likeness along with any information you know about them, their date of birth, their maybe their phone number or address, or maybe I would say maybe their name is all you need. And you could even draw like a box around it or a circle to contain them even further. And you imagine that everything that you're doing, you focus all of your mind and attention to holding them in a situation where they cannot hurt other people, especially. And this is also can be a binding spell, as well as, it's like sympathetic magic. It's also a binding spell. This is a binding spell. So you put this in an empty glass jar, the totem, whatever it is. And if you're working with a fruit or vegetable, cut the container open and place the totem inside before sewing it up or pinning it shut. So if it's inside a banana, you peel one side of the banana, you cut it open, you put their likeness, their picture, you fold it up, put it inside there, and then put the peel back, and you could stitch it with thread before you, and then you put it, and you could wrap it in plastic or plastic bag, and then just put it in your freezer. And as it freezes them away from you. And it says to add a wetting agent. And so on wherever you write their name or their picture, if you want to sour them against you, where they don't want anything to do with you anymore, they sour on the idea of you, you use, you could do lemon juice or vinegar, especially vinegar. Just you pour it over the image before you freeze it. If you want their hurtful words to turn bitter in their own mouths, make sure you put salt water on it. So if they're talking bad about you, just pour salt water on it. Sprinkle salt water. Now, if you want their lies to burn them every time they lie against you, and you want them to burn, like their tongue, their mouths, just to, like they can't get the words out without their mouth being very uncomfortable, add red pepper or black pepper, and that will really get to them. Okay, so if the conflict is sexual in nature, you might want to also use red or black pepper. So use it. This is at your discretion what you want to do. They say if you use simple tap water, it lacks magical charge of vinegar or salt. So you might want to use water from the ocean, or water from a stream or a river or a pond or a lake, something natural, even rain water, even condensation, on your window might work. But make sure if you add salt to it, that will make it more magical. Salt is a crystalline form, will always work. So then what you do is you seal the container, whether it's a jar or a vegetable, and you can drip black candle wax on it if it's a jar, around the lid. Black, as you remember from other talks about magic, it actually repels negativity. It is not a negative energy. It's a peaceful energy. So you drip the candle wax, and when you do, meditate on the flame, visualize the consequences of your spell. What will happen? They will no longer come to your house. They will no longer come to your work. They will no longer talk to you. They will no longer be able to utter any words against you ever again. Imagine that they can't remember your name or what they were even talking about. That maybe they completely forget you. Imagine that then anytime they try to think about you, if it's a man, that he is unable for 24 hours to get an erection every time he thinks about you. And then he'll start associating that, and then he won't want you anymore. He'll just be like on his own merry way. So whatever consequence you want from this, you can use that. If you want to, you could picture their words against you turning bitter in their mouths, like they have a weird taste in their mouth and they can't explain it. They feel weird and they can't continue to speak without it getting worse and worse, and their breath getting worse and worse. Which would be hilarious, right? Especially if they're like around other people, which they would be if they're talking about you. So imagine the person being away and gone from your life forever, and imagine the enjoyment and visualize the feeling of calm, peace, and tranquility now that they're no longer anything to do with you. So you can imagine that the harasser is just disappearing from your life completely. If you don't have a candle, you can wrap the container in aluminum foil. The shiny side will be facing inward so that the target's negative actions will bounce back to them and never harm you. This is kind of a modified mirror spell. Mirror spells are really good. You can also combine both methods by sealing the container with wax before wrapping it in foil for extra oomph. I'm thinking if it's just an ice cube, wrap it in foil, and then you could cover, with the shiny side in, cover the whole outside with black wax. That would also work. So they say finally place the container in the freezer and then watch as your magic works. Now, if it ever thaws out, so might the spell. So they're saying if your enemy's been successfully cut out of your life and you have no reason to ever fear them again, then you could just unceremoniously toss the spell out in the trash, since they probably don't even deserve much of your energy anymore anyway, because they're gone, it's over. Now, the next option is to ritually dispose of the spell by leaving it at a crossroads at midnight. You can ask Goddess Hecate with this. She is the goddess of the crossroads, just in the dead center of like a street where you have a street going one way and the other way. And just ask Goddess Hecate to protect your spell and the magic thereof so that it will be in place, in effect, forever. If you use pins, you have to remove them so animals who might eat the fruit or vegetable don't get hurt. So if you don't want to sew it with thread, you could just put pins in it to hold it in place if you did use like a vegetable or meat, like the cow's tongue, which is hilarious. Just make sure animals wouldn't eat it and get hurt. Another option would be to let the spell thaw before pouring the liquid out into a running body of water, and then you bury the container in the event that you did, like if you did it in a glass jar, you want to bury the jar and you want to melt the ice cube and then throw it in the river, or just throw the ice cube in the river. Obviously it's going to melt on its own, so that will also work. Or your last option is just to leave the spell frozen forever. I've done that. I've done spells that I left in a freezer, might still be there, might not, might have been tossed out, but it worked, and those people are not in my life anymore. It worked amazingly. So now they say if your spell worked at first, but then your enemy reappears a few weeks or months later, you're going to have to recharge the spell. So you remove it from the freezer, let it thaw for a couple days, and then place it back in the freezer. Now you can repeatedly freeze and thaw the spell every few days to intensify the power of the spell. So for example, if someone's actively trying to cause you physical harm, then you probably want to freeze it and thaw it and freeze it every few days just to keep them away from you. So if it's violent, if it's physical, then you got to reinforce it. And every time you thaw it out and refreeze it and you put more energy into it, you're like doing double the power, triple the power, quadruple the power. So that one, it does work. The spell will prevent the target from contacting you, gossiping about you, or otherwise taking any interest in you whatsoever. They won't have the ability to turn anybody against you either. And any action they take against you will fall. It will fall against them, it will reverse back onto them, or it will completely fail. And a freezer spell will completely ice someone out of your life. Don't ever use the spell on a lover that you're going to want back at a later date when you're no longer angry, or on a friend that, you had a falling out. Only do this to absolute enemies, people that you know that are just, their part of in your life is taking away your calmness and your peace. They are robbing you of your tranquility, and they are absolutely no good. People that are maybe narcissistic and they just have ruined your life. They've broken your heart or whatever they've done. Or even if it's just like, if you have a Harvey Weinstein type of person in your life, this is how you handle it magically. So that is, okay, one thing. So let's see here. Now, if your lack of peace is just due to the general state of the world, you've lost a job, you've lost, your time with your friends, like we all have lost something, in this. I mean, I don't have a lot of friends where I live here. Most of my friends are in the States. I have friends all over the world, honestly, and I talk to people online more often than not. And when I'm in the same country as them, then I do go visit my friends. And I have a lot of people that I really love and care about, that I've met on my travels the past few years. But if your lack of peace and calm is having to do with the state of the world, this is a really wonderful one. I found this on rylandpeters.com, rylandpeters.com. And I like this, so I'm going to read this one to you. This is a good spell. A quiet mind spell. And he says, we live in an age of anxiety. Now, this was like written last year in September. He says, but here's the thing. Ancient wisdom is the best way to deal with modern troubles. Try the following tried and true right. Now, I liked this because it's beautiful and very simple. You just get 2 blue candles, and a Palo Santo stick in a fireproof dish. And a Palo Santo stick, it could just be incense. It doesn't have to even be that. It could be sage, incense, anything that you can burn that will clear the air. Okay. White paper and a blue pen. That's so very simple things. Anytime you feel the need, just light the candles and the Palo Santo, which it's what you get here where I live in the jungle, basically. And in fact, I just had a piece of it here near me the other day. I was holding it the other day. I was watching TV and holding it. It made me calm just holding it. It's just really good energy to this wood. But again, anything like Nag Champa incense would work just as well. Any kind of incense would work just as well. So then you just speak along the following affirmation spell. Now, what I read to you here, you can make your own words up, and it's more powerful if you do. So take it with a grain of salt and just go, okay, yeah, I kind of like what this person's saying, but I'm going to make my own words, my own poem. It could be a haiku, it could be rhyming, doesn't have to be. You can make it lyrical. You can make it like Samantha on Bewitched if you like, or something from Charmed if you like, or make your own. Just make your own. It's more powerful if you do your own. So what he wrote, and I like his, he says, be gone from worry and woe. I have the strength to break free and the wisdom to know. As I breathe the sacred smoke, my calm will grow. I call upon my inner guide to help me take it slow. My serenity and tranquility will overflow. With harm to none, blessings to all. Now, I always end 3 times 3. So mote it be at the end of when I say something. And then, of course, you have to read that 3 times. What he says is repeat the spell, 3 times, while the candles in the Palo Santo are burning. Inhale deeply 10 times and pass the pen and the paper through the sweet-smelling smoke of the Palo Santo, and embrace your intuition and trust it with all your heart. Write down what comes to your mind in your notebook. It says you may even feel tingling at the top of your head, which is a very good sign. Your soul will guide you. Your inner truth will show you the way through stress-inducing times. Let go of anything that really doesn't matter to you and your loved ones. Read what you have written down and contemplate. And afterwards, of course, extinguish the Palo Santo and the candles. Refer to the paper every day for as long as you need that calm and peace. Use the words of wisdom that came through to you as your guide for your life to sustain you through the stress and the strain. So I think if you wanted to create a peace in your world that expands and radiates outward into the world to create peace on earth eventually, instead of 2 blue candles, you might want to do 1 blue and 1 green candle to represent planet Earth and your part in it. And so from your pinpointed part of it radiating out throughout your house or apartment, I think that would be, common Earth Day one anyway. You could do it not on Earth Day. Time is an illusion. But I thought that was sweet. I like the color blue, especially like a pale blue. And the candles here, they're really beautiful picture. So I thought that was a beautiful one. That is fire and air magic. Another way for calm and peace, if you go and sit in your yard and take your shoes off and just put your feet on your grass. If you are not in any way in harm's way with this virus, don't go outside if you feel like you would be. But you might want to sit in the sun, put the sun on your back, or face the sun with your back, and put your feet in the grass and allow the sun to burn up all the negative energy, sadness, sorrow, despair, anguish, anxiety, allow it. Just say, Grandfather Sun, please cleanse me of all the negative energies in my aura, and the sun will cleanse your aura. You can face the sun for a few, like 20 seconds or 30 seconds, and feel it shining on your chest. Pull in the energy of the sun inside of you and cleanse yourself in all your chakras and your aura, as well as every individual cell in your body. And you can also ground yourself by putting your feet on the grass and just allow all your negativity to drain through the ground. Ask Mother Earth Gaia to take your negative energy and transform it immediately. Tree hugging actually works. You don't have to be a hippie. You don't have to have dreadlocks. Just go hug a tree. Make sure, look for scorpions first. I don't know where you lived. When I lived in Northern California, we had tree scorpions. They're really tiny, about 2 inches long, but they will ruin your weekend if they don't kill you outright. The poison can be really, really harmful and interacts with some drugs, and people, every now and again, people die from this. It's crazy. So look around for, fire ants and scorpions. Make sure there's nothing on the tree. And then just ask the tree permission to hug it and give it your sorrows and your sadness. And weeping willows are really good for this. They will take your energy, and they take it and they drain it into the ground. And so you just imagine that, visualize it, that the tree is just a temporary channel for your sorrow and grief, anxiety, depression, and woe, and just, and this is earth magic. This is, if your element is earth and you relate to that, then do that. If you don't relate to that, don't worry about it. We're going to move right along. You can also, for earth magic inside your home, if you have plants, you can tell your sadness, tell your sorrows to the plant and ask your plant fairies to help transform it. Transform your sorrows. Another one, it's super fun if you do have a garden or place to lay outside and you're surrounded by plants, ask the flower fairies and the plant fairies to come and cleanse your aura of all of your sorrows. They are more than happy to do it. I learned this from Doreen Virtue. Her name comes up twice today. That's very weird. Her name came up yesterday on Instagram as well. Somebody quoted from her, and I was like, ugh, where did she go? She was such a wonderful person before recently. But the flower fairies will come. They will come and they will just sing a dance around you and lift your spirit, and you'll start to feel like this bubbly champagne-like energy. You'll feel like you're inside a glass of champagne, and the bubbles are bub, 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 all the way up. And they cleanse your aura, they cleanse your chakras, they just help you in every way. They help with your emotional body, your mental body, even your astral body and your physical body, and you just feel amazing. So that's another way to feel calm, peace, and tranquil. Another way, if you're interested in water magic, if water is your element, and wind also, if you're in Chicago, and if you're a wind, you love air, and air is your element, man, that's nothing better. If you're in Oklahoma or somewhere where there's a lot of wind, you just stand there and allow the wind and imagine it's blowing through your body and taking away all your negativity out. Just literally blows all your negativity away. So that's your air magic. And now your water magic, you could stand in a rainstorm and just allow the water to come through and imagine it's cleansing you the way that, with the air, but now the opposite direction, from the top down instead of from side to side. And if you are not in a place where you have rain, or it's too cold, or you have to be isolated indoors, you can use a fan for your air magic, or just, it's very simple. And then just call upon the elements of the air to cleanse your aura with the fan. And just tell them your situation. I can't leave the house, so I need your help. and it does work. Breath work as well for air will work. Take a bath or a shower. A shower can simulate rain, and just ask the water spirits to be with you and help you. And when you go into a bath, if you have food coloring, You could do a teal or a green or a blue bath, even a little tiny bit of if you do a drop of red and 2 drops of yellow food coloring and make it a pale orange, that will bring happiness and alleviate anxiety and depression. 1 drop of red will make your water slightly pink, and you can imagine that that's love. If you feel like you're lacking love, that will help you. For me, I love blue. I'll just put a drop of blue food coloring in my bath, and it's so tranquil. And another thing that you can do is you could ask the healing grid for Reiki energy to come up through your feet and just cleanse your whole aura. I am always 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, putting energy into the Reiki grid around the planet, and I'm healing people all the time without even knowing it, because I'm just putting energy in and it flows where it needs to and helps everybody. But that also brings peace and calm and tranquility. And water, you could ceremoniously pour water over your head 3 times. If you feel you need more, you could do it 7 times. Those are very sacred numbers. And you can also sit and ask the Ascended Masters to help you during your meditation. And you can meditate and put soft music or ocean sounds. If fire is your element, there are many fireplace ASMR type videos on YouTube. You could cast it to your TV if you want a fire, but you don't need it to feel hot in there. I do it sometimes. If I feel cold, I'll put the energy of a fire, and it like warms up my room. I think my own energy warms it up because I expect it. You know, God was talking about that yesterday. Whatever you expect your world to be. You can ask angels to take away all the negativity, and you can use, if water is your element and air, you can imagine that clouds are coming through and cleansing your whole area. Now, a lot of the stuff is visualization. A lot of it's just asking for help from the spirit world, the unseen spirit world. And the stuff is very, very, very simple. You don't need a lot. You know, crystals do work if they are cleansed crystals. And you can do a crystal grid. You can put the crystals in your hands while you chant Om or you meditate. But these are, it's all, for me, it's all very magical. Now on Llewellyn.com, they did have a spell to calm anger. If your own anger is taking away your peace, this is what you can do. They say, instead of giving everyone around you dirty looks, try this spell when you get home to calm your anger. First, make a list of everything that made you angry today, and then you tear up the piece of paper in tiny little bits. Put it in a heat-proof dish, and over the paper sprinkle dried sage and ignite it. When the smoke curls about you, you say, "My spirit is cleansed by this sage. I hold no grudge or no hate. I hereby release all anger and rage." And then you let the sage and the paper burn until only the ashes are left. And when they're cooled down, you could either bury them in the earth or just throw them in the trash or flush them down the toilet. Those are, I added 2 of those things that just said to throw in the trash, but I like the flushing it down the toilet because you're adding the elements of water to flush it away. If you throw it in the trash, it's just going to sit in your house, Although, even though it's already burned up, it's just like, well, I don't like having energy left around, hanging around. So, all right, let's see. There was another one here, also from Llewellyn. I don't know if you guys hear that. Suddenly, sounds like tapping on my glass. Is there a spirit in here? Is there someone here? No. All right, it might just be water condensation. I don't know, that was kind of freaky. I'm like, woo. All right, there's a candle spell for peace is another one. To have peace in your area where you live, meaning your home, your bedroom, or you could radiate this out to your block if you start to feel calm and peace. and then imagine a white light in your chest, and it just radiates out, 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 out. And you could imagine it goes to outer space and encompasses everything if you want. But it says this, they wrote this on United Nations International Day of Peace, and this is a ritual that was also on Llewellyn.com. They say, if you carve a peace sign into a light blue or a white votive candle, surround it with clear quartz points. Light the candle and visualize comfort, love, acceptance, and kindness that spreads across the world like a soft blanket. Imagine your energy represented by the candle being amplified by the crystals, joining with the peaceful intentions and the actions of others, united in a common goal. And they gave you a chant. You can always use your own words, of course. And this is what they said. Let love and peace fill hearts and minds, never ceasing till it finds its way to all, with fear dispelled, all hate and violence to be quelled. Let the candle burn out safely, and in addition, take some action today. Do something kind for someone, display symbols of peace, attend an event, or make a donation, etc. Now, I will tell you something. I loved this, and I used to get this almost every year. The Witch's Spell-A-Day Almanac by Llewellyn. Llewellyn is spelled Llewellyn''S, and they even have one for 2021. They have amazing ways to enhance your life with magic. That's every single day. Recipes, rituals, and easy bewitchments. And a lot of times it's just a visualization or a word, like a poem to say. Words. So that's it. That's pretty much all I've got to say about that. You can work with the elements. Something, if you feel like you're not protected and you're not calm and you're scared, and if you're just freaking out a little bit because of someone, you got to ice them out. But in order to restore calm and balance in your own home, if you have some salt or even baking soda, salt is the best. You could just make a big circle in your floor and sit inside it. You could make a pentagram with a 5-pointed star inside. If that's too freaky for you and you don't like that, you don't have to do that. Just make a circle and ask your angels to surround you and keep you safe inside that circle, and just sit inside it until you feel better. You can use string or anything that would form a circle. Rocks, pebbles. If you ever have those glass beads that you put inside plants that are really pretty, like blue and green, and you can use those if you don't have crystals. Just form a circle around you, sit in a circle, and just imagine that a giant pillar of light is shining down upon you and keeping you completely safe from everyone else. And then when you're strong enough, you can imagine from your heart chakra, your heart area, that right in front of you project another, like a rod of light coming out, and in front of you about 1 foot to 2 feet out, imagine like a pink rose, like a bud opening up, and then allow it pink light to come through that, and put that throughout in all directions, up, down, to the side, all the way around. Imagine that pink light is radiating everywhere, and it's calming everything down, like a very pale, very, very pale baby pink color. If you are more comfortable with green, like for healing a space, you can use like a green flower, a lotus flower, or you could do pink and green, like a pink lotus flower on top of a green lily pad, and you can imagine both colors simultaneously or one at a time going out. If you don't like visualizing white light, those might be good. Also, baby blue, that's the throat chakra energy. And you can imagine baby blue, like a soft baby blue blanket, or turquoise is another color that's very soft and gentle and calming. And so pick the color of your choice that makes you feel the most relaxed and calm. even a very pale, like a vanilla, very pale, almost like a yellow, I call it vanilla, like a French vanilla ice cream color. If that makes you feel more calm, that might be what you want to visualize. And that's more to do with your identity. If you feel like you've been personally attacked and you don't have peace, that color of cocoa butter or like a very pale butter yellow, that's a very nice calming color. So you don't have to just use one color. Just use, the color that you feel most comfortable with right now. Sound, you can chant Om, or you could come up with your own chant and just keep saying it if that's going to bring calm and peace to your space. And like the one that I just read to you about the candle for peace on Llewellyn, they mention violence and hatred. You don't have to mention violence and hatred in a chant about calmness and peace, okay? If that's something that you want to do and you're okay with that, but even if those words bug you, just chant something that's going to bring calm. I ask that my space be filled with peace and calm. Allow my every word to be a soothing balm around everyone who comes into this sacred space. Allow everybody to feel at ease and filled with grace. Amen. 3 times 3, so mote it be. I just made that up from the top of my head. It's like the natural magic inside me. I'm always speaking in riddles and rhymes anyway. I try not to, but it does come out sometimes. See, there you go. I don't even try. But I'm not even high. But there you go. There's some easy ways to use folk magic to bring calm and peace to your life, regardless of what is causing it. We went through, I think, pretty much everything. If it's the outside world, just do the calm and peace. Just flood your whole house or apartment or bedroom. Just fill it with the energy of those lights, those colored lights. There's a lot of YouTube videos that you could play for chanting, for sounds from nature, as well as just visualize the color. You could do art. You can write a little poem, like one I just said even, and put it on the back of your bedroom door so you read it before you leave your room, and it fills your room with that calm energy. And then when you leave and you come back, you're going to be feeling that. So you can use your elements. We went over elemental magic, binding magic, sympathetic magic, angel magic, nature and fairy magic. So I think I pulled out all the stops. So hopefully you'll find something of value in this episode. Anyway, that's it for tonight. I'll be back tomorrow with all new, unique, and original programming, just like always. I love all of you very much. Thank you for your continued faith and confidence in me and Metaphysical Soul Speak, the podcast. Please tell all of your friends and people around you that you know that are starting to awaken, and they're kind of like, what is going on? I had an initiation and kind of freaking out, don't know what to do, don't know where to turn. You could tell them about the show, and tell them especially, I have a lot. In fact, tonight is episode 80 for season 2. I've already done 80 episodes for this season. That's pretty crazy, right? So I did 364 episodes for first season. So there's a lot of material to go through. So all the people waking up in your life, just let them know about the show. They will find something of value here. I give really real information. As a lot of you know, I've studied this stuff my whole life. And 33 years of having been in mystery schools and being consciously on the ascension path. And this journey, I've been just doing this my whole life. This is my way of life. like literally every day. Constantly praying, constantly working with angels and everything. This is just my way. I'm a Heyoka lightning shaman. You could tell your friends and family and coworkers or even strangers online that ask you questions, just lead them my way. Tell your Instagram people and your Facebook groups, just tell everybody, spread the word, and I thank you so much for doing that. If you think that I deserve a People's Choice nomination to win an award, that will be July 1st. Mark your calendars, and more towards that day, I will let you know how to vote for Metaphysical Soul Speak. So, all right. That's it. I love you very much, and I'll be back tomorrow. But right now, I'm signing off with peace and joy and the high vibes of the holy fifth dimension. Until next time, guys, peace and calm. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.